Hello all, I hope you're doing well. The big news today is these illegal migrants have been moved from Epping. Looks like the protests worked, but they've been moved to an extremely swanky hotel in the middle of Canary Wharf. Now, for those of you who don't know, Canary Wharf is a very upmarket international part of London. It's essentially the home of finance. It's where the big banks are based. If you go there, it doesn't really feel like London, let alone Britain. It always feels more like America to me, the sort of place where Jeffrey Epstein would hang out. Now, there's a few important dimensions going on here, but let's start from the top. First of all, I think the protesters in Epping really do deserve a big pat on the back. They did us all proud. I'm very fond on this channel of saying it's important to stay poised, to stay calm. The system wants you to be some mad, raving lunatic. It's dead easy for it to turn the tables on you and say, look, you're the evil person. We should remember the truth is on our side. Like St. Augustine said, the truth is like a lion. Let it free and it will defend itself. I'm sure you noted that the powers that be tried the old line that this is the far right and aren't they all evil and twisted, but the people of Epping did really well. They kept the Tommy Robinson types away, which would have brought a lot of controversy. They stood up by themselves, they focused down on the children, the key issue here, and it meant that the powers that be couldn't call them far right because nobody was really believing that these people go home and watch Combat 18 videos. What the people of Epping did should be the model for the future because it exposed the Liberal regime does not have the moral high ground. It thinks it does because it's deluded and high on its own liberal supply. Another key dimension is the migrants were moved to Canary Wharf. As I say, that's an upmarket part of town. Lots of the international rich there, a lot of the upper and middle classes going into work there. Let's see how they like having all these illegal immigrants on their doorstep. As soon as it starts affecting them, I dare say their rhetoric may well shift. I understand, and people are right to be upset that these illegal migrants have been moved to a swanky hotel with a swimming pool. They get NHS appointments when the rest of us have to wait months to be seen by a doctor and are struggling to get by. But in another sense, they couldn't be in a better part of town because finally, the people who force it on us are going to have a taste of their own medicine. And talking of a taste of your own medicine, there's a clip that's gone viral of a Green Councillor moralising to local protesters about asylum seekers and how we're all evil and need to think of the environment, and she's clearly highly privileged. Now, while in general I'm not exactly pro screaming and shouting at people, it's a harsh reality that this girl is finally facing up to the brutal reality people are facing on the ground, and she's only ever looked at it with the lens of a top 10 university sociology degree in the past.
I just think it's really, really important for people to understand that there are no safe and legal routes for refugees to come to this country. This is the only way they can come here. It's on a boat to pay. Yeah, they've got the whole of Europe. Why should we put that burden on the rest of Europe?
But do you not think
we still have to take responsibility for the fact that we have a lot of stakes in the conflicts and the climate crisis that causes people to be refugees and have to come to another country. They're not choosing to leave their country at their home, their children, their parents.
Now, this woman is clearly shocked by this level of confrontation. She's just clearly never come across it before. You know, she's been trained in a sheltered environment and she thinks she's going to go here and be the heroine and everyone's going to turn around and think, we've been so close-minded and close-hearted. If only we could be as virtuous and noble as you. There is a massive class issue here as well. The guy effing and blinding is clearly representative of people who have to deal with this on the ground. The toffee middle class type is the person who very much doesn't. You can tell by the people around her fellow protesters as well. These are people who live in the home counties. They don't deal with mass immigration other than as some abstract thought experiment. And it's easy to see how this will play out afterwards as well. The Green Councillor will no doubt think I was so noble and kind and this person was so aggressive and rude and confrontational. Now, the Liberal frame tends to view these interactions as symbolic of the political positions themselves, i.e., the Green Councillor is middle class and civil and also polite, therefore her politics are kind and loving too, and the counter to her is of course evil and twisted. Yet the irony is that the utopian worldview of these green types doesn't create peace and harmony, it actually creates hell on earth. Why? Because real life can be brutal and tribal and hard. By all means we need space for compassion and kindness at times, but we also need to counterbalance that with hardness, justice and discipline. Seems to me the liberal world functions under a delusion that the all-mothering state can protect us from the brutalities of life. The reality is it cannot, and if you try and make it, it will become authoritarian and chaotic in its nature. What you need is a strong tradition, people, men especially, who can face the hardships of life and protect the integrity of the tribe and the nation. And on that note, this is this Green Councillor's Twitter header image with her fellow Greens. I mean, dear Lord, look at these people. Do you really think they could defend anything? All upper middle class sheltered. They think they're creating a utopia, but they're actually creating anarchy, breakdown and hell. If you needed an image to go with the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, I think this would be it. Of course, these people would say someone like me is just trapped in a toxic masculine mindset that you even need to defend something. If you'd get rid of that toxic ideology, don't you know that you'd be free to love and experience a truly beautiful utopian world of peace and equality? Oh, I'm sorry to regular viewers for telling this story again, but I'm inoculated against this nonsense now because, as you may well know, I'm very interested in meditation and praying and contemplative practices. So during my time in London many years back, I used to go along to these spiritual evenings full of green types. Now, one evening, this fella came in. This is a free event, by the way. 6'4", mad look in his eye, crazy as anything, and started intimidating the women. The men there didn't know what to do. It's all well and good to talk about love and peace and contemplation, but if you can't stand up to difficulty when it arises, all you're really going to create is hell down the line, not peace, not heaven. This is why all the great traditions, the Christian Western tradition included, promoted a sense of masculine formation. By all means, we can celebrate the feminine and compassionate side of life, but it must be counterbalanced by the initiation into an established manhood. It's only those people who can stand up to tyranny. If they're not there, everything falls apart. And that's exactly what's happened in the modern Western world. And this is where women like Petunia come from. She will moralise and pontificate in a Western system which is built on the backs of the toil and sweat and blood of many men who did the hard yards, and tell us all about her utopian socialism, her wonderful feminism and environmentalism. However, when the brutal reality that she's oppressed for so long, that masculine voice that's now wound up and pushed down into the working classes erupts, she doesn't know what to make of it. She can only conceptualise it as toxic and evil. Now, all of this speaks to a major juncture that Western man is now faced with. We either continue on with this liberal utopian dream that everything's going to be okay if we just believe in more leftist liberalism, or we wake up to the roots of our tradition, that which can actually see us through the hardships of the age, that will allow us to do what we need to do and implement the boundaries we need to, but also maintain that touch of compassion so we don't lose ourselves in tyranny either. These are extremely powerful and important times, and it depends upon the awakening of our collective soul. That's one reason why I started the sister channel, The Sacred Way. It's about personal and spiritual transformation. Do check it out down below if you're interested. Other than that, let me know your thoughts on this issue, and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.